It started out much like any other day. Tugboats were gathered at the Great Ocean Tug and Salvage Company dock, waiting for the dispatcher to give out their jobs for the day. "Theodore," said the dispatcher, "report with Petra to dry dock to move a ship." As usual, the tugs answered yes, with 2 toots of their horns. "Emily and George, you're needed at Dock 7 right away to take out a tanker with Pearl." George's toots were a bit louder than usual. "Theodore and Hank, wait near the dock until needed," said the dispatcher. "If there are any questions, ask your pilot boat. That is all for now." The dispatcher was finished. Theodore and Hank were disappointed. Well, they didn't want to wait. They wanted to do something. Just then, the pilot boats, Pearl and Petra, arrived. Emily wanted to ask a question. "Excuse me, Pearl, Petra," Emily called after them. "I wonder if..." But the pilots were already sailing away. Emily sighed. "I wanted to ask the name of the ship we're supposed to take out." "No time for questions," trumpeted George, acting very much like a pilot boat. "We've got our jobs, let's go do them." Hank and Theodore had to laugh. Even Emily managed to smile. "All right," she said. "I'm coming." When the others had gone, Hank and Theodore waited. "Do you want to practice working in the harbor with me, Theodore?" Hank asked. "I guess so," said Theodore, although he really wanted to be out in the harbor with the others. "Good," said Hank. "You be the tugboat, and I'll be the pilot boat." Hank tried to sound like a pilot boat. "Yes, young Theodore, the dispatcher would like you to help at Dock 602. Or was that Dock 206? Anyway, go to a dock and help a ship leave. Or was that help a ship arrive?" Theodore began to giggle. Hank started to sail off, and Theodore called after him. "Wait, I'd like to ask a question, please, Mr. Pilot Boat." But Hank, the pretend pilot boat, answered, "I'm sorry, but I don't answer questions." "No questions, but why not?" asked Theodore. Hank was quick to answer, "Aha, but that's a question, and I can't answer questions." But Theodore was still curious. "Please, Mr. Pilot Boat, why can't I ask questions? I mean, if I knew more, maybe I could save time and do a better job. Why won't you ever listen?" Well, Hank was getting dizzy with all of Theodore's questions. He didn't want to be a pilot boat anymore. "I don't know, Theodore," he replied. "I'm not a real pilot boat. Maybe they're just too busy to listen to tugboats." Theodore was silent for a moment, and then he said quietly, "But that's not fair." The next morning, Theodore was determined to talk to the pilot boats and get them to listen. "Good morning, tugboats," said the dispatcher. "This is a very busy day. George and Emily, report to Chebucto Head. There's an oil tanker arriving in port." "Voduk," continued the dispatcher, "you and Hank report to Dry Dock 3 to dock a damaged freighter." Hank was very excited. "Oh, work at last." "1 toot is enough, Hank," whispered Voduk. "That is all for today," finished the dispatcher. "If you have any questions, please ask your pilot boat." Well, just then, Pearl arrived. At last, here was Theodore's chance to ask a question. "Excuse me, Pearl," said Theodore. "Ah, Theodore. Since the dispatcher does not have a job for you, you can go to the warehouse on Dock 3 and bring back a fresh supply of tow ropes." "Yes, thank you, Pearl, I will. But first, I was wondering if..." Pearl was already sailing up to catch up with Emily and George. Theodore felt upset. Maybe I should ask Petra, he thought. Maybe she has time to listen. Theodore was just on his way to get those tow ropes at Dock 3 when he saw Petra at a nearby dock. "Oh, she doesn't look too busy," Theodore thought to himself. So he sailed up to face her. "Excuse me, please, Petra, could I ask..." "Oh, Theodore," said Petra. "The dispatcher just called me on my radio. He needs a tug to sail out to the entrance of the harbor and replace marker buoy 6. It's in need of repair." But Theodore knew he already had a job to do, collecting tow ropes from the warehouse. Petra turned to go. Theodore had to talk fast. "I would like to replace the buoy, Petra, but Pearl already gave me..." Petra spoke again. "I have to get going, Theodore. Voduk's ready to dock that ship. We can talk when you're finished. Poor Theodore. Well, Petra wouldn't listen. What should he do now? How could he do both jobs at the same time? I must find Pearl and explain, he thought, and hurried off. Theodore found Pearl at the fueling dock, but she seemed in more of a rush than ever. Theodore took a deep breath and began to speak, but before he could say a word, Pearl turned quickly from the dock and almost bumped right into him. "Oh, Theodore," she cried. "You must watch where you're going." And before Theodore could reply, Pearl continued. "Theodore, someone has left an empty garbage barge at Dock 2. The dispatcher would like it brought back to its proper dock." And then Pearl hurried off so she wouldn't be late guiding in the oil tanker with George and Emily. But, thought Theodore as he spun about in confusion, another job. Now he had 3 jobs. Whatever would he do? A while later, the tugboats gathered back at the great ocean dock. "Are all jobs complete?" asked the dispatcher. Emily, George, Hank, and Voduk all tooted their whistles. "Very good," said the dispatcher, but he sensed that all was not right. "And what about the damaged marker buoy? Has it been replaced?" "I sent Theodore for that," said Petra, who had just arrived. But when the dispatcher looked around, Theodore was nowhere to be seen. Just then, Pearl also appeared. "But I sent Theodore to move a barge," she said. "2 jobs at once," said the dispatcher. Petra was confused. "Pearl, you sent Theodore on a job this morning?" Pearl nodded to herself. "Yes, I sent Theodore. I didn't know he had another job." And then she said, "Oh, dear. Oh, I just remembered. I gave him another job before that, getting tow ropes." "3 jobs at once," said the dispatcher. "But if he had too much to do," said Pearl, "why didn't he just tell us?" Hank moved forward. "He tried to tell you," said Hank. But Petra said, "I don't remember that he told me, nor me," added Pearl. Hank gathered his courage and continued to speak. "Theodore has been trying to ask you a question since yesterday." "What question?" asked Pearl. Well, the other tugs looked just as upset as Hank. Hank spoke again. "Theodore wanted to know why you never listened to any of us." "We will certainly talk more about this later," announced the dispatcher, who was very concerned. "But right now, there is a container ship coming in and a damaged marker buoy in the harbor. That means there is nothing to warn the ship about the sharp rock." The tugs and pilots went off to warn the ship and bring her in. Everyone was very worried about that rock and Theodore. Where could he be? Now, at several places near the mouth of the harbor, there are floating buoys marking dangerous areas. Buoy number 6, whose name is Blandford, marks the spot of a large, jagged, underwater rock. Theodore was floating along, thinking it seemed like the pilot boats didn't care about what he did. If they did, they would know that 3 jobs at the same time were 2 too many. It was very hard being a tugboat in the big harbor when no one listened. "What was that?" he said aloud. "I hit a rock." Then he noticed the marker buoy. "Number 6, he said. It had drifted off its spot, and its light wasn't working. "This must be the damaged buoy I was supposed to replace." Theodore heard a deep, deep horn, and he knew right away what it was. A ship, a big ship, entering the big harbor. The fog was rolling in, and he couldn't see her, but he knew she'd be heading straight for the dangerous, jagged rock. As a tugboat, Theodore knew that doing your job was the most important thing, and right now, his job was making the harbor safe for the ship. He heard the ship's horn, closer now, and he could just make out her shape through the thick fog. Sure enough, she was heading straight for the terrible rock, and there was no time for Theodore to get another marker buoy to warn her away. Meanwhile, the The other tugs and the pilots were racing toward the harbor mouth. They could hear the great ship approaching the jagged rock. It's all because of us, said the pilots. All because we didn't listen. The container ship was just about to hit the rock she couldn't see, when she heard the sound of 3 loud toots through the fog. And then she saw a light. It must be a marker buoy, thought the ship. And then she realized that she was heading straight for it. The other tugs and pilots arrived just in time to see the big container ship slowly begin to turn, turning away from the dangerous rock. It looks like the marker buoy is working after all, shouted Pearl. The tugs floated in for a closer look. It's not a buoy, said Hank. It's Theodore! Oh, hi, everybody, said Theodore, as calm as a clam. Well, the tugs let out a great cheer. Theodore had saved the ship. Petra examined Theodore's load. And you got the tow ropes. The tugs saw a pile of tow ropes on Theodore's deck. I'm sorry I haven't moved the barge yet, said Theodore. I was going to do that next. Oh, that's okay, Theodore, said Petra. Then Pearl made an announcement. Theodore, you've been very brave. We're proud of you, and we apologize for not listening. From now on, we promise to talk about all of the work in the harbor. Talk and listen. We promise, added Petra. Now let's get this ship in, said George. And with that, the tugs and the pilots set off to work. I'll go get another marker buoy so you can come back and tell us what happened, called Hank. I'll bet everyone will want to listen.
He's a tugboat and a friendly Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly boats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, oh, Hank and George and the harbor master too.